Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to take a look at translation and how AI can help us with that. And as part of this, we will also learn about using AI to transform or convert speech to text. That is taking a recording and making a transcription of it. And of course, we'll be learning a bit more about ChatGPT as one of the essential tools in our tool belt. We're going to look at quite a few tools today, so have your notepad ready. For the purposes of this tutorial, I decided to work with Arabic as it raises some really interesting questions and issues that will really test what we're doing here. So bear with me for a few seconds as I want to briefly go over the differences between Arabic dialects as an example language, specifically transcribing Lebanese Arabic and then translating it into modern standard Arabic. This is really important in understanding why we use some of the tools that we do and how we use them. And of course, these principles apply to many languages, not just Arabic. So Lebanese Arabic has slightly different pronunciation. It's primarily used in informal settings, daily conversation, and is really rich with local expressions and idioms and even loanwords from other languages such as French, English, and Turkish. Whereas modern standard Arabic is the standardized and literary form of Arabic that's used across the Arab world. So it serves as the lingua franca, the common language among Arabic-speaking countries, and it has a far more classical Arabic vocabulary, and it's the written standard for books, media, education, and so on across the Arab world. Now, we have divergence in many languages like this, in Portuguese, French, Spanish, English. All of these and many more have multiple and quite different dialects and variations. I'm going to be showing you quite a few tools in this video, and that's because they all have different pros and cons and different strengths and weaknesses. Some tools will work better with some languages. So, for example, some tools are really poor at transcribing or translating in Arabic because they view Arabic as one language rather than being able to specify a specific dialect or variation. And some tools might have specific functionality that might be helpful to your particular need, and so on. So Rita in the AI Academy WhatsApp group sent me some audio of a sermon in Lebanese Arabic. And the goal here in this tutorial is to transcribe that into text and then translate it into modern standard Arabic. And for those of us who don't understand Arabic, we'll take a look at the different outputs in English so we can see what's going on with the actual translated content. So the first thing I did was to download the audio that Rita sent me and trim it to get to a more manageable size. And you can do this in free tools such as Audacity, which is this web page here. And you can download that here. This is free to use and works on many platforms such as Mac and Windows. Or you can use a tool such as iMovie, all sorts of tools that you can use. You could also then clean up the audio, if you wish, by putting it through a tool such as this one, which is Adobe Podcast Enhance. Don't be put off by the name podcast. Its application is far broader than that. I use it with all my videos here. So when I've recorded a video, I separate out the audio and the visual, and I drop the audio into this box. It takes several minutes to enhance it. I can then export that, drop it back into my video editor, and the quality of the audio recording is significantly improved. We didn't need to do that for the purposes of transcribing the audio that Rita sent me, as it's already quite clear. But this is a really useful tool for you to bookmark. So for what we're doing next, we need to use two different tools. And we've talked about this principle before, that very rarely in AI will you get the best result if you're just using one tool. You really start to see the benefits of AI when you use multiple tools. So we're going to use one tool to transcribe the audio and a different one to translate the text. So let's first look at transcribing audio. I'm going to show you a couple of different tools here, but remember that these might not be the best option for your specific use case. So you can always ask ChatGPT. In fact, let's do that now. Let's go over to ChatGPT and let's say, Please provide a list of free AI transcription services that are able to distinguish between and transcribe different dialects of Arabic from audio into text. And of course, you could customize that prompt however you like. Let's see what ChatGPT says. Okay. So ChatGPT has come up with a few different tools. Interestingly, none of the ones that I'm going to show you. So for those of you who are using Arabic, you might want to take a look at these. I'd asked it earlier and it gave me completely different answers. But there will be some other links for you to look at there. Anyway, the ones we're going to look at are Happy Scribe. Now, Happy Scribe, in fact, let's go to this page here. Happy Scribe is what we call, is another one of these freemium tools. So there is a free plan that you can use, which just allows you 10 minutes for a single file. That's more than adequate for what we're doing today. And as you want to use it more and more, you can go up on the different plans. So let's before I show you the other tools, let's go into my account here. I've already uploaded the audio. So let's click on that file. And then you can see it's given us the transcription here. There are some other options that you have with Happy Scribe. It's a multi-purpose tool. You can turn it into subtitles, which you can then use in your video editing program to overlay your video with subtitles. You can also translate this content into different languages here. But we're not going to do that right now. Let's just go back over here. This is a very good tool if you're managing multiple projects and want to do things like subtitles and translation and transcription all in one place. This is a great tool to do that, and it's pretty accurate. But I want to show you a couple of other tools. One is this tool here, which is Neural Space Voice AI. This is different to Voice.ai, which we looked at the other day, which is a text-to-speech tool. This is Neural Space Voice AI. So I've uploaded exactly the same audio file into this program, asked it for a full transcript. Again, we can play it, we can see the transcript, we can copy it. One of the features of Voice AI Neural Space is that you can also query the text. So it's less relevant with the content that we've got here, but if you've got a longer form piece of content, then you can query that in the same way that you could query ChatGPT. And it also gives you a summary here. It tells you what language your audio is in. So it's specified this is Levantine Arabic, which is the family of Arabic dialects that Lebanese Arabic belongs in. And it will give you a summary of the content if you'd switch that on whilst you were creating the transcription job, which I didn't in this case. So this is another tool that's worth you looking at if you do any significant amount of transcription. However, the one that we're going to use is actually from Google Cloud, and this is a bit more complicated to set up, but it does give very, very good results. So you have to have a Google account in order to access this. Then go to console.cloud.google.com/speech/transcriptions. And then there are a few steps you have to go through. If there's enough interest, I can put together a video that shows the detail of doing this. But for most use cases, it's probably not worth using Google Cloud. The other ones are a lot more user friendly. I just happen to be using the output from this one today because this is a tool that I use more often. So we click on there. Again, it gives you the option to hear it, and you can then download the transcription. So we'll download it as a text file. Okay, and then we'll just load that up. Okay, and we can see we've then got that text there. Now you'll see the format of that is slightly different, and that's because it is time coded according to when the speech was, and that's actually quite useful for some services when we get to translation. Another tool that you might want to look at is Whisper Transcribe. This is an amazing tool, and it works as an app on your Mac or your Windows PC, but it's not cheap. But if you happen to have a little bit of budget, or if you happen to have put sometimes they do a lifetime deal on this, which is how I got mine, and you can see here that I've uploaded it here. Similar kind of functionality. So you do new transcription, upload a file, select a file, various settings that you can choose, select the language. So it doesn't, one of the disadvantages of this one is that it doesn't actually specify the different dialects of Arabic. And that's quite common with some of these transcription tools. So you do have to hunt around a bit depending on what language you're using and whether it's a specific dialect. This also shows an interesting function where if you're trying to transcribe something that has got multiple speakers in it, which the text we're doing today doesn't, then you can use speaker recognition, and it will separate out what person A is saying from what person B is saying, and even persons D, E, and F. And then you can add custom spelling and a glossary and so on. This is one other one, voicer.net. I haven't actually used this one, but I have seen this recommended, and the pricing on this is quite good because it doesn't commit you to a monthly cost. So you can do 10 minutes of speech to text, and then just use that when you want. So all of these different tools, the reason I'm showing you so many is, as I said, there are lots of pros and cons, lots of advantages, disadvantages of using these different tools. So it's worth having a look at them to see which one might suit you best. And you might find that it's different tools for different projects. So let's move on to actually translating the text. We're going to look at two specific options here, which are actually two entirely different approaches to translation: Google Translate and ChatGPT. So Google Translate is a very straightforward translation tool, relies on AI and language data sets, and you set your source language here. So you can see we've set that to Arabic. You set your destination language here to English. You can swap these around by clicking these arrows. So Arabic to English, English to Arabic. You've also got the option of recording your voice. You've got a limitation of only 5,000 characters. So there are some limitations here. You've got the option of how you input the language, whether you're handwriting it or pasting it in. And you've also got the options up here of translating images, where you can drag and drop an image in, or choosing a file, a document. Again, you can either tell Google Translate what language it's in, or you can get it to detect it automatically if you're not sure what language it's in. And you can also translate websites here as well. So obviously for the tutorial today, we're going to look at text. Now, we're not going to be able to use this as a tool to translate from Lebanese Arabic into modern standardized Arabic, as our only options for source and destination languages are just Arabic. You can see from the list here, we do have a lot of languages, but there's only one Arabic specified. We do have some other languages where there are variations, where there are dialects, different streams of the language. So Portuguese Brazil, Portuguese Portugal, 2 different versions of Punjabi, and a few others as well. So what we'll do here is we'll translate it from Arabic into English so that we can actually see how good a job it's done on capturing the sense and the narrative and the structure and the flow of the text. So let's just grab that text. Let's paste that into here. Okay, and here is the English translation. So I can't speak Arabic, neither Lebanese Arabic nor modern standardized Arabic. So I can't tell how accurate this is, but what I can see is that this doesn't really flow. And I would be very surprised if this was actually a good translation of what the speaker is saying on the audio. It just doesn't seem to have the right flow to it. It seems disjointed. It doesn't make a great deal of sense. There's no sense of structure to the translation. So there are other tools that are similar to Google Translate. You've got Microsoft Translator, which works well on smartphones. You've got DeepL, which specializes in European languages. It's often viewed as being superior to other translation tools, and it's particularly good at fluency and naturalness of transition. So it's known for its ability to better understand and maintain the context of the source text, which does make for a more coherent translation and generally performs better with idiomatic language. So for example, here, I've put in English. I got this video done before the end of the day by the skin of my teeth. Now, by the skin of my teeth is an English idiom, which means I just about got it done by the end of the day. Now, if you were to translate that literally, it would not make sense to a French speaker, as they simply don't have that idiom in the French language. So they would wonder why you were talking about skin on your teeth. In French, a more common way of expressing the same meaning would be to use this adverb, de justesse, which means barely or just barely, and it's used to describe a situation where something was achieved by very narrow margin or with little room to spare. So it conveys the sense of just managing to succeed. So this is a good example of where translation tools need to be able to do more than simply translate the content word for word. So we've already talked quite a bit on previous tutorials about ChatGPT, but up until now we haven't really looked at how it can work as a translator. And there are a few quite distinct advantages that ChatGPT has over a tool such as Google Translate. So, for example, ChatGPT, as we know, can understand and retain context much more effectively, which can be really beneficial when you're translating those idiomatic expressions or slang or context-dependent phrases that might confuse a literal translation engine. Also with ChatGPT, again, as we know, you can interact conversationally. So this can allow you to provide additional information or context. You can ask follow-up questions regarding translations, receive more nuanced translations, and it can handle more complex translation requests that might involve a blend of translation with explanation, such as understanding the cultural nuances or historical context of a term. And also the output can be more tailored. So you can ask ChatGPT to provide the translation in a formal language, in simpler terms, or even in a paraphrased interpretation. So it gives you a lot more flexibility in how those translations are presented. And ChatGPT can also help in translating and adapting more creative types of writing, such as poetry or literary text, where maintaining that stylistic nuance is crucial, something that a more straightforward engine might struggle with. In contrast, as we've seen, Google Translate doesn't distinguish between Arabic dialects and gives no opportunity for contextual understanding, conversational interaction, or any of those more creative uses. However, Google Translate can sometimes better handle industry-specific terminology due to its extensive integration with industry-specific datasets and it's likely to be more continuously updated with cutting-edge language data, although we can expect that difference to reduce as time goes on. So here we're going to use ChatGPT for this translation, as it allows us to provide some important context. So here's the prompt we're going to use. So I've put down, here is some Lebanese Arabic text. So I've told it what dialect it is. Then I've got the text in there, and then I've said, please translate into English. Rather than direct translation, please focus on conveying the meaning of the original in a coherent and understandable manner in English. All right, let's see what happens here. Okay. So this is what ChatGPT has said. Greetings, everyone. Today, our topic is one of hope and faith. Those who wait on the Lord shall never be ashamed. This is a powerful message. At the end of the sermon, I'll also share some announcements. These announcements are already displayed on the screen, but for now, let's focus on the key message. And then it goes on. When we reflect on this, we notice it's divided into two key parts: never be ashamed and those who wait on the Lord. And you can see it's put those in quotes. So it's actually split this text up in the way that I think the preacher probably intended, to allow an examination of what the components are of this particular point that's being made. So this scans much more like a spoken piece of content. It sounds like something a preacher would say. And if we just go back to Google Translate and see the difference. So here we said, peace is, this is what Google Translate translated exactly the same content as: peace be upon you all. Today our topic today, let him who waits for the Lord never be disgraced. Let him who waits for the Lord never be disgraced. At the end of the sermon, how many ads would you like to share with you? I mean, this just doesn't scan in the same way, does it? We come back over here. It's just much, much more conversational. So I think ChatGPT has done a great job here. And this isn't a complex prompt, but it allows us to do several things that we can't do on Google Translate. Allows us to specify the language dialect, which we did up at the top. It allows us to focus on conveying the meaning of the original in a coherent and understandable way. And of course, now what we want to do is to translate the text into modern standard Arabic. So we're just going to amend our quote slightly, our prompt, sorry. Okay, and let's do this. Okay, so here I've said, here's some Lebanese Arabic text, so the same here, but instead of English, I've asked it to translate into modern standard. But I've kept the same option here of rather than direct translation, please focus on conveying the meaning of the original in a coherent and understandable manner in modern standard Arabic. And there we have it. As we've previously talked about, you'll probably get better results if you break the text down into smaller chunks with ChatGPT, but keep it in the same conversation so that ChatGPT knows it's part of the same piece of content. So, for example, a prompt that could accomplish that. Let's just go back to ChatGPT. Start a new conversation. So a prompt, if you're going to translate a longer piece of content and split it up into chunks, then you could put a prompt in such as this one. I have a transcription in Lebanese Arabic, which I want you to translate into modern standard Arabic. The transcription is lengthy, so I'll give it to you in chunks of a few hundred words each time. Rather than direct translation, please focus on conveying the meaning of the original in a coherent and understandable manner. Ensure that you've got consistency of style and theme across the entirety of your translation of the transcription. Do you have any questions before we begin to help ensure the best possible outcome? Well, that's encouraging. ChatGPT has told me that my approach is clear. and it understands the requirements. And yes, it's waiting for the first chunk of the transcription. So the original audio that was sent to me, I think, was about an hour long. I just cut that down to 2 minutes. What you could probably do is to maybe divide that into 12 sections of 5 minutes each, and run those through the transcription service and then through the translation service. And then you can copy and paste the content that you get as an output from ChatGPT or whatever translation service you've decided to use. You could copy and paste that into your content. Now, one final thing I wanted to show you, and I won't spend much time on this, but just to point this out to you, if you're working with human translators and you're working on translating longer form content such as books or leaflets, and you want to merge translated copy with existing design, then you may want to look into using professional translation tools such as SmartCat, which is this tool here, or Text United. Now, these tools are very similar. Text United is a little bit cheaper than SmartCat, but both of them are paid for tools. There's not much that you get for free. These tools allow you to upload a document such as a Word document that you've designed and laid out, and it then extracts the text. It performs an automated translation using translation engines such as Google Translate or DeepL, and then allows human translators to edit that text, confirm each segment or section, and then outputs the text back into the designed Word document. So these are more project management tools rather than just translation tools, and they're very focused on written translation. These tools are more aimed at professionals, so there's not much on these that you can do without a paid plan, and they are quite expensive, but they are very good at what they do. So if you are doing a lot of work with human translators and you want to get some shortcuts into that, and you want to have a project management system, then it might be worth you looking at one of these two tools, or maybe there's another one you can find. Right, I think we will call it a day.